join in the discussion here. My name is Klas. I've been working with additive manufacturing since 1997. I got a PhD in 2004, so I can say I was around to do this way before it was cool. Another question too. I'm speaking English. These are Norwegian slides. I was informed that it would be mostly Norwegian. I'm a native Swedish speaker. So, which language do you prefer?
English.
Swinglish.
English. Very good.
Or a Swedish accent. Norwegian text, Swedish speaking English. Is that fine with you? Okay, fine. Most people have heard about it. There's been lots of talk on the internet. There's been the economists talk about bridge barriers. And yes, this is a violin and it works. Very nice bass tones. And it was been in USA Today. We talk about a third industrial revolution. Discussions of more and more getting in more and more places. Large investments worldwide. Even President Obama took it up in his re-election campaign in 2012, telling that this was going to change how we're going to make things in the future, and that it's important for the future of America. That led to the investment in National American Science Center in additive manufacturing is going on. They are being on the internet. They talk about in Norway, is this going to change everything? Well, we need to be a little bit careful here. There's a lot, thanks to the internet, people can communicate just about anything, about any case at all. There's been lots of speculation, lots of expectations, lots of wild claims. So you talk about who can you trust, and this is a very important question here, actually. The Gartner Institute, an American institute for for monitoring what's going on in trends in technology. They call it an annual report. In 2014, they came out with one that they mentioned 3D printing because that's when the hype boosted. And they talk about, they have a few places they talk about 3D printing. I will get back to that journal in a moment. Then in 2017, they had another one that is exactly only about these different technologies. And so the one on the right there is only what they think about trends of it. But the thing is, the Gartner Institute is not a technology institute. There are no experts in technology at all. They're just monitoring searches on the internet. They just monitor what's going on. What they hear in sound, they don't know what it means. They just find the words. So this is also just a case of speculations and expectations. Actually, the word 3D printing is not that easy, it's not that clear. 3D printing itself has at least 5 different meanings, depending on who you ask and in what situation. It could, for example, mean just printing a text or a picture on a 3-dimensional surface substrate. That's one way. Then it's also a manufacturing process or a production process that was patented by the MIT in 1993, and it was called 3-dimensional printing. And the reason why they picked that name was basically because the man who filed the patent, well, his father had been a 2-dimensional printer, and he used a little bit of a printer technique in it. He actually used an inkjet to deposit glue binder on a powder bed, glue it together. And since his dad was a printer, he thought 3D printing sounded good, so he used that name, techniques for 3-dimensional printing. But then there were also another type of printing techniques that came out that actually are based on inkjetting systems, where you do deposit droplets of material, actually based on a traditional printing technique. They call those things also 3D printing. But since these were cheap, easy to use, available, so it meant that people said, okay, all these cheap, easy to use, available additive manufacturing processes, they are 3D printing processes. That's a third division. The fourth. And then in 2010, Chris Anderson, editor-in-chief of the Wired magazine, came up with a book that said "Makers and the New Industrial Revolution." And in this book, he outlined a future where physical objects, products, are going to be produced the same way as open software is produced. meaning that people, independent units of people with cheap machine tools would be able to produce parts, share the designs, and then allow other people to redevelop them, and then will be an open development community. And in that book, he mentioned 3D printing, 3D printers, as one type of cheap, available, easy to use machine tool. And that spread and hit the media, the common media very much. Many journalists heard about it for the first time, and so the people who thought that all these techniques are 3D printers, instead of actually identified as the cheap and easy to use machines. The real definition of additive manufacturing has been agreed by the industrial community, by ISO, International Standards Organization, ASTM International, also the International Standards Organization, is additive manufacturing is a process of joining materials to make parts from 3D model data, usually not necessarily, but usually layer upon layer, as opposed to subtractive manufacturing and formative manufacturing methodologies. And that means, from that, it actually is a pretty good key description of the content of it. It has to be based on a computer model, which specifies the geometry of the product. The process is being characterized on how the material is added, meaning how do you actually bring the material to position, and actually how do you bond it together. And those things are just the subject of physics and chemistry, laws of physics, basic natural laws of nature. But thinking about joining materials to form parts, is that really old technology? Well, not really. The sausage method, it's called that even in English, pölsemetoden på norsk, is an old way of making ceramics before they had a pottery wheel. Just a roll of clay, thumb it together, and layer upon layer, you form your pottery. But they were not first. The birds were around, had been doing it for a long time before. Hey, Claudia. Swallows are building their nest in this way. And they were not either. We have the wasps, the wasp nest. Layer by layer, successive addition of material. So when people talk about 3D printed houses, you're way behind. The real masters, the mollusks. Scallop. They do add material, layer by layer. If you ever see a scallop shell, or a snail shell, or any kind of natural shell, if you see it's a layered structure, the material in the scallop shell is made by calcium carbonate, the same type of chalk that you have on a blackboard, but it's nanocrystals that was being glued together by protein. So they actually use a very advanced nanotechnology that we cannot duplicate today. But this makes that these shells are about 20 times as strong as natural calcium carbonate. So we talk about technology, they're way ahead of us. On the other hand, they've been doing it for about several hundred millions of years, so give us some time. The first modern system called stereolithography was patented in 1986, and the first machine sold in 1987. So as a technology, okay, it's fairly new, but as a principle, the technique, it's ancient and just natural. In the early days, this all started actually out in the 1980s, when the American automotive industries had a serious challenge from the Japanese area. The Japanese were much faster in developing new models. And one of the most important bottlenecks the Americans were facing was that they had too long time to develop new models of a car. And the problem there was the time it took to reproduce a prototype on the way. It was a long time and it cost a lot of money. So suddenly there were a lot of capital for research in how to shorten the time to develop prototypes, more rapid prototyping systems. So what came out was rapid prototyping. Based on a three-dimensional CAD model, you had a CAD model, you sliced it up, and you joined it together in one or several principles. Then said, okay, if prototypes are costly and takes a long time, well, so are tools. So let's make rapid tooling. And then it used rapid prototyping techniques to create rapid tooling, cheap and fast available tooling. Sort of. The technology was rather primitive, so it was mainly quite small spheres they made, limited numbers, but still it shortened the cycle times quite significantly. Then said, okay, if we can make prototypes and tools, let's make parts, let's do rapid manufacturing. Still some problems there. It did hit some applications. That's my dive computer, by the way. The shell is made by additive manufacturing. I didn't buy it because of that, but it was available. I just found it on the net and I bought the computer and turned out that the shell was made by additive. It's basically, they tried to make it, but still at the time it was a little bit limited. So it wasn't so rapid. To really understand the step from rapid prototyping to industrial production is really, you need to think differently. And that was one of the problems that they did with rapid manufacturing. This is not just one process. It's only 7 fundamentally different process categories. And that's a big difference. Then it does not actually make a part, finished part. It's not that what they have projected, that you just push a button and print and you get anything you want. That's not really the way it works. You do need to do something else. Very rarely you can get a finished product in one process step. So you need to regard it as a part of an entire production system. It's not necessarily fast. Some people use it because it's fast and cheap. Others refuse to use it because it's slow and costs too much money and it's still the same process. So it's important that you're able to integrate it in a complete hybrid solution that gives very much higher grade of efficiency. The real key is that this is not as much the way to do things we can do today, or things that we have available which are fast and cheap to do today, to make them faster and cheaper with this. That's not the way it is. But it is really a key to innovation and opening of the door. You use materials in a different way.